Hello everyone, this is Lower. Welcome back to the third video of this creating a track in an hour, which has turned into I'm going to show you how I make a track fully in the open. If you haven't seen the other two videos, I'd suggest maybe going and watching them, unless you're just here for vocals, which I've got in this particular video. So I'll be showing you how I edit my vocals. But just before I do that, I've added a few more bits in the drums for this time around. I've added a few breaks. So there's one at the end of 8 bars, tiny little break here. Right, I'll mute it for you, or solo it. So I've got a little break down here. This one here, the worm break. For that I kept some of the hi-hats going. I muted some of the others so there wasn't too much tops. There's some shakers still going. Oh, I shouldn't have kept those in there. And that. And I kept my kick and snare so they're layered underneath. That's how I generally like to do things there. There's also one more break, which is a different break. I forget the name of it now, but it's, yeah, the hot pants break, which I have later on. So I reused the first part again because the second part has a snare which is like a bit offbeat. But I think I used that later. So like, yeah, here you go. So this one here, I used the original snare, so just before the breakdown. Yeah. Processing wise, I've just got a bit soothe on the hot pants one. It's not doing a huge amount. Just sort of taming the highs a little bit. And on the worm one, I haven't really got anything yet. I really should, actually, while we're here, I'll just put a clipper on it, because that's quite peaky. See the peaks there? So what we want to do is we want to tame those peaks, just so they don't come out in the mix too much. Turn it up a little bit maybe. There we go. That'll just make it easier to mix later down the line, and I'll do the same with this one. We'll see what it's like. So it's really just the snare on this one, so we could just maybe... The other change I did musically, I think I added a few effects, little bits and bobs, stuff like that. Nothing major, like literally just a reverse chime. Like that. It's also quite loud, so I'll turn that down. I added some more Foley over the top of the other one, I think because this one here. Yeah, so I added a gate on this because it sounded quite digital where I'd stretched it around. Hopefully you guys can hear that. So I added a gate on there, so you just got the clicks. And then I layered a Foley layer on top of that. So that's like a kind of a park, I think. Something like that. There's just a little riser here. Bassline, I think I spoke about the 808s last time in the last video, but I changed the bassline very, very slightly for the second drop. I just basically added a new note in, which is this one here. For now, that's fine. I mean, I'm probably going to be trying to make things a bit more interesting later down the line, so we'll see. But for now, it's good. So obviously, this is the old vocal. I've just left it there for now, but it's basically muted right now. I don't think I've added any more musical parts Actually, no, I did. I added this. So this is like a little run. And what it is labs. Shout out to my brother for putting me onto this. If I take fragments off, you'll hear what it sounds like. It's just like guitar harmonics. Yeah, so if I play it with the rest of the music. Just a sort of like finale of the track that sort of leads into the breakdown, and I've got it here as well, which sort of leads into the main verse. It does the same thing there. I think it's one more time right at the end of the track. Yeah, and these ones here, this is the main drop, so that's the verse, it's the main drop. I've just put in like one initial hit like that on the drop, give it a bit of like bang transient. Musically, that is how it is, and it's very similar to the last one. The major change is I got some vocals back from an amazing singer called SYNGA, who is a Dutch singer, and this is actually the second track I've worked on with her. The first one you guys haven't heard yet, but I'm very excited about that. So she's very talented. She sent me quite a few stems, lots of harmonies and things, so there's lots to sort of go through. I'm going to show you my process. So what I will do is I will basically show you how I tune a vocal very briefly, but these are all done already, so I'll just what I'll do is I'll just show you what I do. I have a Isotope Nectar 2 pitch editor, which I use to do all my tuning. Basically, pretty much what you do is you just press record and play. And I can't hear it because I've got it there.
Give it all up for you. Make a decision.
Right, so let's say I've recorded all that entire track. Then what you do is you get all these notes, and you can see where that yellow line, that's basically the pitch of her voice. So you can move it around. You can cut them in half if there was one note, and then move them up and down. If you double click them, they go back to their original pitch. But the cool thing about this is you can snap it to a key. So you can, let's say, I know we're in minor, and I think we're in A sharp minor or B flat minor. So it shows you on the left there with the yellow notes which notes are in, and you can actually snap it to scale. It doesn't always work, so you have to kind of listen to it and go through it.
To give it all up for you.
See that note there? That's pretty wrong. So if you just double click that, it takes it back to where it should be.
To give it all up for you.
So this is the kind of bit that takes a long time to do. Like, you've got to go through every single vocal and get it all very nice. And I like to try and do it as transparent as possible, so like you can't really sort of tell that there's any kind of tuning. It's not like auto-tune effect style voice where it's just like, yeah, jumping between notes really obviously. I don't like that at all, so I like to try and do it quite subtly. What I'll do is I'll just play what the vocal sounds like, and then I'll go through it. So hope you guys enjoy it.
Promise me a four-leaf clover. Give me a reason to give it all up for you. Make a decision. Figure out
Yeah.
We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for good. We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for good. We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for good. We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together. Give me a reason to give it all up for you.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with how this is sounding so far. Quite soulful, I like it. It's good. And a bit uplifting at the same time. So basically, what I have done, I'll show you my lead vocal first. So after tuning it, I rendered it out. And the next step for me personally after tuning it is getting the volume like quite even. You can do that a few ways. You can do that with the utility plugin and then automate each clip. You can cut them out like this and change the volumes of each one. What I've been doing recently is a bit like sort of cheaty and maybe a bit lazy, but I find it works quite well. So I have an envelope follower down here. What that does is it listens to the audio and sort of converts it into a signal that you can apply to other plugins. So this is a list of all the possible like mappings you could do. I think there's 10 maybe or something there, so you could map it to 10 different things. So what you do then is you click on map, and then you click on whatever parameter you want it to apply to, like that. What I've done here is I've put it onto a gain plugin. How do we go back? There we go. And then, whoops, why was to the left? Yeah, so every time her voice is loud, because of this, it turns down on the gain. So basically what I've got it doing is sort of flattening out the vocal. So the quiet bits, they won't have much volume reduction, but the loud bits will have quite a bit. From I've tweaked around with this quite a bit, and it seems to work like quite well. Like this bit here, there's quite a bit of volume reduction, but this bit here, there's only like maybe half a dB, but this bit's like 5 dB. So it sort of flattens it out a bit before putting it in a compressor. So the compressor basically has to like not work as hard, you know. Then after that, I'm sure there are some people out there that are like amazing with vocals and maybe point out that I might be doing it wrong, but this is just what works for me and what I've been doing. So after that, I then put it through a parallel compressor, like a New York style compressor, which just happens to be labeled full drum parallel. It's just a parallel one.
Give me a reason.
And I should take this off actually. And that's just tickling it really. And then basically that just adds a little bit more volume as well, like a little bit more chunk to the lower end. After that, I had a soothe on there, which is just for the vocal harshness.
Give me a reason.
I got the mix down a bit on there, so it's not like,
to give it all up for you.
I think the max peak is probably about 5 to 6 dB on there.
Make a decision. Figure out
that just smooths it out. After that, I have a nectar with EQ, so it's rolling off the low end, scooping out some of the mids and adding some tops. And then I've got a saturator and a compressor. So this is where it sort of really starts to squish the vocal.
Give me a reason to give it all up for you.
Yeah, and then after that I've got an EQ, which is basically doing, I've obviously felt that there's still a bit too many lows in this.
To give it all up for you.
especially around here, so I've just reduced that.
Make a decision.
And for now I left it like that, and I just had a reverb send,
Figure out our next move.
just to send it to the reverb. And that's pretty much my lead so far. I haven't rendered it because I'm not 100% sure I'll leave it like that yet, but just for now. And I was like, oh, I'll just leave it like that, and then I can start working on the harmonies and the backing vocals and all that sort of stuff. So what I did after that, because of this original vocal, I was like, oh, I really like all these harmonies, and
What's dangerous.
and she like, it gave me like an Imogen Heap vibe, and I sort of ran with that Imogen Heap kind of style, and I decided to put a vocoder underneath the actual main vocal. So this is, it's basically the same MIDI as the whatever synth is in the intro there, except I've then added a few more notes to make it a bit more interesting, ones that change sort of in the middle of the vocal as well, so it sounds like gets that full effect. It's just meant to be like a layer, basically. Basically all this is oh, actually I did do some funny business. I used another envelope follower triggered by the vocal itself, which is also, you won't be able to hear because it's fully wet on the vocoder, but the envelope follower is following the vocal, and then I've applied that to the formant on the vocoder just to give it a bit more life, because if I didn't do that, if I could turn it off, it's just a bit dead. I found it just, yeah, it brings it alive a bit more. I've got then some EQ, well, quite a lot of EQ, and then I slammed it in a compressor. Bit of reverb, nothing too crazy really. Yeah, so underneath the main vocal it sounds like this.
Give me a reason to give it all up for you.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. On top of that, we've got some, I think, octaves. So
Give me a reason.
that's just a double there.
Give me a reason.
There's an octave. So they're just layered over the top of everything else to give it a bit of thickness.
Give me a reason.
Starting to sound a lot thicker now. It's good. They're panned a little bit left and right there, just to give a bit of space as well. And that's just the initial first part. That's what you get. For the second part here,
We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for good.
so this is the bit where it gets a bit time consuming. And lucky you're not watching me do this because it took ages. So basically on the main vocal we got a lot of sibilance, which is completely normal. And for me personally, I'll leave that there. I won't chop it out, but I know some people will. But so like sibilance, if you don't know, is basically your S's and your all bits like that, and all the sort of weird sounds in between.
We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better.
It's all the all that sort of stuff. What happens when you have lots of backing vocals and things, when you start layering them up, and that sound gets a lot and quite overpowering. So in the backing vocals, I've literally chopped out all the breaths, all the S's. So basically you're just left with tones, and that's a bad example there.
We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for good.
Like if you listen to it on its own, it'd be like, okay, he's cut off a lot of the, beginnings of the words and things like that. But personally, I don't know. I don't think it matters too much, because when you play it with the main vocal, you won't really hear it.
We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together.
Oh, pardon me. Yeah, and also I've just lined everything up perfectly. So like when you get sent vocals, sometimes there'll be a bit like the timing won't be perfect, which is completely normal. We're not all Beyonce or whoever can nail a vocal, but like you just move it around, especially rhythmic parts like this where it matters. So
we've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together.
I also noticed it really mattered with the vocoder, because all the little sounds in between, like the little breaths and everything, that picks up, it gets picked up by the vocoder and makes it sound kind of muddy and messy. So it was important to cut all the bits out there.
We've been good, but we need to do better to stay.
I've got some harmonies that come in here as well. Here we go. What we got? And I think this one, yeah, so this one here is just a duplicate of the original harmony, and then I've obviously one's pitched left by 30 and this one is pitched right by 30 odd, but I've also changed the formant of it. Just gives it a bit of width, you know. Then what that sounds like all together.
Floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for good. We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for good. We
got some more harmonies here that come in. Like all of these have been tuned and everything like that already, and like cut out all the little parts in between, volume faded and everything. So you can imagine like it does take quite a long time when you get a proper vocal with lots of harmonies and things like that, but it is, I think, totally worth it in the end. Like it's worth the work. It's just hours. I mean, you can quite often I'll sit and I'll have like a YouTube video on and I'll just be doing all this stuff, like multitasking basically. There's no need to be in it fully.
good, but we need to do better to stay together. Give me a reason to give it all up for you, all up for you, all up.
This is like a little call and response kind of thing going on here, which she sent me.
Reason.
I think that kind of makes it, honestly. Like if you take that out, it would be just a little bit kind of boring.
Give me a reason to give it all up for you.
But with it in, it kind of gives that extra.
Give me a reason to give it all up for you, all up for you,
bit of soul. I did a little, there's some harmonies sort of groups here which she sent me as well, so and I used one of those at the end of this segment here, and it sort of shifted it out of time a little bit, but I think it kind of works as like a little so actually I'll explain this properly. Originally at the end there was another one here, this one, and I just wasn't very keen on it. Yeah, I don't know, I just felt like it just wasn't fitting properly, so I got rid of that, and then for a while I had it empty, and I just felt like it needed something, so I stole one of these harmony things here which weren't there in the original arrangement where she sent me, but moved it around a bit. I think that worked quite well, so that's been there for a while now. There you go.
Next move. Promise me a 4-leaf clover.
And then we're into the main sort of hook of the whole track, I suppose. This is like the title. Promise me a 4-leaf clover. So you got the lead. That's not the lead. You got the lead.
Promise me a 4-leaf clover.
Got the vocoder still. It's a double.
Promise me a 4-leaf.
And a high.
Promise me a 4-leaf clover.
It's all about layering, always.
Promise me a 4-leaf clover. Promise me a 4-leaf clover. Promise me a 4-leaf clover.
You can hear that sparkly melodic part leading into the breakdown now. and into these. So basically she didn't send me any like second verse. I didn't ask for it, so no issues there, but what I've done is I've just then gone into this. This is the bridge, I suppose, so I've gone into the bridge again here, so this is a duplicate.
Floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together for.
And then back into the drop again. And this is why I changed the bass line, and I'll probably add some more like extra musical elements because the vocal is a repeat. I think the music should be different. I just haven't really got to that point yet. Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers all the vocals. There's this part here that I added in. This is just a cutout of Four Leaf Clover. And I've just sort of really given it that radio effect and then stuck a load of reverb and delay on it. So yeah, I'm really into this tune. I'm glad you guys are sort of on the journey with me. I think it's kind of cool, and I hope you guys are enjoying it and getting something out of it. I'll probably do another video, but I'm thinking maybe that'll be the last one and it'll just be like a wrap up. I can't imagine there'll be any major changes, probably bits of music in the second half, but thank you for joining me. This has been Lower. Like and subscribe and all that stuff, so take care guys, have a good one, bye.